Have you ever been in that moment? You're trying to learn something new, maybe feeling a bit stuck, or just wondering if you're, actually making any real progress.
Yeah, it's a really common feeling, isn't it?
It is. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into a truly illuminating story. It's about a young student named Lina.
And this deep dive, it really centers on this fascinating paradox.
Yeah.
How Lina's decision to help someone else,
Right.
well, it didn't just help them.
Right.
It unexpectedly transformed her own learning, her own confidence. It's quite a lesson.
It really is. So our mission today is to unpack that connection, between helping and being helped, using Lina's experience as our guide.
We always hear that phrase, teaching is learning.
Yeah.
But what does that really mean? What did Lina's story show us that maybe isn't so obvious? Let's dig in and see what stands out.
Okay, so let's start with Lina as she appeared later on in her later school years.
Right.
People saw her as confident in English, seemed to understand lessons easily, spoke without much hesitation.
They called her the smart one.
Exactly. She seemed like a natural.
But, and this is what's so compelling, her past tells a different story. That confidence wasn't just there.
No.
There was a moment, a pretty public stumble actually, that kind of became this crucial turning point for her.
And she remembered it so clearly. Her very first English test, class 3. The question was simple. Write a sentence using the word happy. But she was just lost.
Completely blanked.
Totally. So in this moment of panic, she drew a smiley face and wrote, I am banana.
I am banana.
Oh,
wow.
Banana. And of course, the class just erupted in laughter. She cried. It's the kind of thing that could really stick with you.
Oh, absolutely. But what's striking is how that embarrassment, that public moment, became a catalyst.
Right.
A real driver for deep learning. Her response wasn't to just shrink away.
No, she doubled down.
Exactly. She channeled it. Relentless daily effort. Watching cartoons, reading books.
And practicing in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
Right. Hello? How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Over and over. It wasn't just about avoiding embarrassment next time.
No.
It was about fundamentally rebuilding her understanding, her confidence from the ground up.
Which really underscores a key point here. She wasn't just naturally good. She worked for it.
Definitely.
That confidence wasn't a gift. It was earned, forged, after that whole banana incident.
Yeah.
It shows that real mastery often comes from pushing through those tough challenges.
And she became one of the best. But importantly, she knew she was still learning.
Which brings us to the next part of the story. Years later, Lina's doing well, but still growing, and then a new student arrives.
Sammy.
And he was described as, nervous, quiet, clearly struggling.
Right.
When the teacher asked everyone to introduce themselves, Sammy stood up and sort of mumbled, "Myself is Sammy. I was come from small village, my English broken."
And the class reaction.
They giggled, but Lina didn't. The sources say she just smiled.
That's telling, isn't it? That small reaction.
It is. And her bravery, approaching him after class, that was really the start of something significant.
She just walked up and said, hey, you were brave. Want help?
Simple as that.
Yeah. And that genuine offer, it wasn't just kindness. It really set the stage for this protege effect we see happening.
Where teaching benefits the teacher.
Exactly. Immensely.
It just shows that power of empathy, doesn't it? Reaching out. She could have easily looked away.
But she saw herself in him, perhaps? A reflection of her own earlier struggles.
I think so.
Yeah.
And so their study sessions started every afternoon under that tree near the school gate.
A regular thing.
Yeah. And it wasn't complicated stuff, just the basics, greetings, numbers, simple sentence patterns, small foundational things.
Making it accessible.
And they made it fun, too.
Yeah.
Like they play games. Lina would say, okay, spell banana.
Bringing it full circle.
Right. And Sammy would try B-A-N, B-A-N-N-A. And Lina would gently correct him. Close. One N only. Other times, they'd act out little scenes. Lina, as a waiter, asking, hello, sir, what would you like?
And Sammy.
Sammy, in this hilarious moment, says, I want hug.
Hug, not hot dog.
Exactly. Lina paused, grinned, and was like, you mean a hot dog, right? And they both just cracked up laughing.
It's those moments, isn't it? The human, relatable ones. That's where the learning really seems to stick.
Definitely.
Yeah, and what's so insightful here is how these simple teaching interactions, They reinforce the core ideas for both of them.
Right, not just for Sami.
Not at all. It's not just grammar rules in a vacuum. It's context, communication, making mistakes safely, even humorously. For Lina, simplifying things, explaining them, finding different ways to say it, that's a deeper level of processing. It really cements her own understanding.
The building blocks of real fluency.
For both the teacher and the student, absolutely.
But then, things took a bit of a turn, didn't they? There was a twist.
Doubt started creeping in for Lina.
Yeah. After weeks of helping Sami, she started feeling, well, strange. She looked at her own English notebook one evening and thought, am I getting lazy?
Questioning her own progress.
Exactly. Like, I teach him all the time, but what about me? Am I neglecting my own learning?
It's a valid concern.
It is. And her mother noticed her looking thoughtful.
Ah, the mother's wisdom.
Yes. Lina shared her worry, and her mother just smiled and said something quite profound.
Which was?
But sometimes when you teach others, you learn better than before.
And that really hits on this key learning mechanism, doesn't it? The protege effect, as psychologists sometimes call it.
Explain that a bit more.
Well, the act of explaining something, simplifying it, answering questions about it, it forces your brain to work differently than just passively learning.
How so?
You have to retrieve the information actively, organize it clearly, anticipate misunderstandings, find gaps in your own knowledge. That cognitive effort, that restructuring of information, it fundamentally cements your grasp of the material in a way just reading or listening often doesn't.
You really have to know it to teach it.
Precisely. And that effort becomes this powerful, often unnoticed accelerator for your own learning.
And then came what the sources called the lightning bolt moment for Lina.
Yeah.
Mr. Thomas asked her to give a short English talk in class. She was nervous, naturally hands shaking a bit, but she did it, spoke clearly. And afterwards, Sami came up to her, looked her right in the eye, and said, "You were amazing. I want to speak like you one day."
Wow. That must have hit hard.
It did. And connecting that back, it wasn't just the compliment itself, though that was obviously powerful.
No, it was what it made her realize.
Exactly. Two critical things clicked into place for her.
Okay.
One, she saw herself as a role model, an inspiration. That's a huge motivator.
Sure is.
And two, maybe even more importantly, she suddenly understood that she'd gotten better. Her own grammar, her pronunciation, her confidence. It had all improved while she was helping Sami.
Without her even consciously focusing on it.
Right. The very act of teaching him, articulating things, answering his questions, simplifying, had sharpened her own skills.
That's the really remarkable part, isn't it? The growth wasn't just for Sami. It was this unexpected, powerful bonus for Lina.
A side effect of helping.
A very beneficial side effect. She was growing without even realizing it.
And that realization didn't just stay as a thought. It sparked another idea.
Ah, the English-speaking club.
Yes. A few weeks later, she goes to Mr. Thomas with this proposal. Her idea. A space, a club, where anyone could practice English without feeling scared or judged.
Building on her own experience and Sami's.
Exactly. And Mr. Thomas saw her leadership potential, right?
Yeah.
He supported it fully.
Right.
Lina led it. Sami helped make posters, totally enthusiastic.
Nice collaboration.
Started small, just 4 students. But it grew week by week.
What did they do in the club?
Played games, told jokes in English, gave little informal speeches. But mostly, they just helped each other.
Like she had helped Sami.
Just like that.
That's
And this really shows how that individual growth, sparked by helping someone else, can ripple outwards.
Building a community.
Yeah. Lina went from being just a good student to a leader, a coach, a friend, multiplying the impact.
That initial helping hand just kept spreading.
And the story brings us right back around, full circle.
How so?
One day, a new girl joins the school. Shy, quiet, standing at the back.
Another Sami, perhaps?
Kind of. And Lina, remembering her own journey, remembering Sami, just walks over.
And repeats the gesture.
Yeah. She says, "Hi, I'm Lina. Don't worry. We all start somewhere. Want to join our club?"
Wow. That's powerful. It shows that cycle, doesn't it? Paying it forward.
It really does.
She didn't just learn English. She learned how to empower others. And in doing that, she created this ongoing loop of support and learning in her community. It's a fantastic illustration that knowledge isn't just something you acquire for yourself.
Right.
It's shared, it's applied, and through that whole process, it grows and multiplies.
So thinking about Lina's incredible lesson, what are the key takeaways for for you listening?
Well, first, I think, is that when you really commit to teaching or helping someone else, you genuinely boost your own learning.
It forces a deeper engagement.
Definitely. Deeper than just passively taking information in.
The second.
Second, that protege effect is real. Explaining things forces you to structure your thoughts, find your own weak spots, and articulate clearly. It just cements your understanding profoundly.
Makes perfect sense.
And third, I'd say, is the power of community. Creating that supportive space, whether it's a formal club or just one-on-one, it lets learning flourish, especially for something like a language or any new skill. Shared support, shared laughter, being okay with making mistakes. It's crucial.
We really hope this deep dive into Lina's lesson has maybe sparked some insights for you for your own learning journey.
Yeah, maybe you felt this dynamic yourself, helping someone and realizing you learned too.
Or maybe it's just inspired you to look for ways to help others, partly as a way to boost your own understanding and confidence.
Absolutely. So as you go about your week, maybe consider this, just a final thought to mull over.
Okay.
What's one area in your life, maybe a skill or some knowledge you have, where you could step into that role? The role of a helper, a guide, maybe even a leader.
Not just for their benefit.
Exactly. Not just to assist them, but potentially to unlock a whole new, maybe unexpected level of personal growth and confidence for yourself.